Well, hello there, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. In this video, I'm going to expand on a simple randomizer design to show you guys how to make this completely scalable multi-bit randomizer. So what does this do? Well, our normal randomizer in Minecraft is usually just a dropper connected to a hopper that's facing down to the dropper with a comparator coming out of the hopper. And then you have a stackable item and a non-stackable item in that dropper. And every time you power that dropper, it shoots up an item at random. And then you get either a 1 output if it's the stackable item, or a 3 output if it's the non-stackable. And then the item goes back in. And so you get like a 1-tick pulse kind of thing here. But what I decided to do was expand that by simply creating this like locking mechanism. So every time this block is powered, this torch will turn off, which will depower both the dropper and the hopper, and that'll allow the hopper to spit whatever item it's holding back into the dropper. At the same time, when this block becomes unpowered again, this will turn on, which will power the dropper and spit something into the hopper, but it will also power this block and lock the hopper. And so basically every time this torch turns off and then on again, it resets and picks another random number. So that's great, but what I realized is that this design is actually one wide and fully tileable. And so what that means is you can chain multiple of these randomizers together. And that means that instead of just getting a 0 or 1, a single bit output, you can create a randomizer that with the click of one button actually creates any combination at random. It picks a random number of any number of bits. So what does that do for you? Well, here's the example. So this is 5 of these hooked together, and again, it's fully scalable. You can just build them right next to each other. You don't have to worry about it. And in this case, I'm using 5. So with 5 bits, you can get 32 combinations. So from 0 to 31. And so every time I press this button, this is going to pick a random number between 0 and 31 in just these 5 blocks of space, of width, I guess. It's longer this way, obviously. But 5 blocks of width, and you can get any number from 0 to 31 at random. So if I press that, it's going to pick another one. In this case, that's 4. If I press this again, this is 16, 17, 18. So this is 18. By the way, I'm figuring that out because it's just binary. So this is the 1's place, the 2's place, the 4's place, the 8's place, and the 16th place. So 16 plus 2 is 18. So that's how I'm doing that math. I press it again, and I get 4, right? And so every time you press it, you'll get another number at random from 0 to 31 in this short space. And because it's binary, you can throw it into logic gates to do binary math on it. You can do addition, subtraction, whatever. Or you can just have it output. Or do something based on the output. Whatever you want to do. But basically, it's a fully functional multi-bit randomizer. And so the key thing to note here is that even though this redstone dust connects to each other, it's still tileable. And that's because the only 2 outputs of any one of these individual randomizers is going to be either a signal strength 1 or a signal strength 3. So if the signal strength is 1, it's not going to bleed into the next row at all. If the signal strength is 3, it'll bleed into the next row, but it'll go 1, 2, 3, and it'll stop before it gets to the end, so it won't actually interfere with the output. So if this is 3, it'll reach the end. If this is 1, it won't, but if this is 1 and this is 3, it still won't. So, yeah. So that's just overflow protection. And yeah, it works out extremely well. So anytime these torches under here, anytime all of them are depowered and then powered again, you get a random number here. So let me show you how to build one of these modules, and then you can just stack them as you wish. First step is to place a block with a torch on it, and then a block above that. Then you're going to want to place a dropper facing down. Make sure it's not a dispenser, because that won't work. So a dropper, and then on top of that you put a hopper. In case you don't know how to do that, you just hold shift when you press it, and it'll place it on top of there instead of opening the dropper's UI. And so that's the randomizer part. And then you have to fill it with one stackable item, like redstone, and then one non-stackable item. Now, whether this stacks to 64 or 16 doesn't matter. It'll still give an output of 1, so it's fine. But this has to be a non-stackable item, or else you won't get any other output besides 1. Now, what you can do, if you want, is put more of the non-stackable items in, and that'll make it more likely to turn on than off. Or you can put more of the stackable items in, and that'll make it more likely to turn off than on. So you can alter the probability of each bit that way. But if you leave it as 1 and 1, then it'll be a 50-50 chance of either. So it'll be completely random. So once that's set up, you just got to take an output from that randomizer by putting a comparator next to the hopper, or I guess in front of the hopper. Build 3 blocks out, and put 3 blocks of redstone dust. And you're pretty much done. Now all you have to do is take an output from this block with a repeater. You can use a comparator there if you want to. You could even... Well, no. One thing you do have to do is put a repeater or a comparator over here. If you try doing just redstone dust, it won't work. Because this will only go to a max value of 3. So it will always stop at the end of this platform. It'll never go lower. So you do need to put a repeater or comparator there. And then you can just run that output into wherever you want it to go. You know, this is each one of these repeaters represents 1 bit of the output of the random number. So you can just set up, you know, in this case, I'm just putting lamps there, and I'm putting the blocks underneath so that when the repeater powers this lamp, it doesn't also power the one next to it. So this will power this block, which will only power that. But yeah, so you can run that output anywhere you want and get a random number. And then the last thing is to hook up your input. So you can, you know, pick each bit individually if you want. But I think if you're going to pick a random number, it makes more sense to randomize all the bits at the same time. So I just have my input here going into all of these blocks at the same time. And so that does that. So in this case, it is 8 plus 4 plus 2. So that's 13. So yeah. Randomizers. Oh, and one last thing, and this isn't absolutely necessary, but if you're playing on a server, a lot of hoppers can contribute to lag a little bit. Or if you're building this somewhere that something might fall into the hoppers, it'll break it. So to fix both of those at once, you can put furnaces above these hoppers. Again, I'm shift clicking. And what that'll do is it'll make sure nothing can fall in because it's blocking it. But it'll also reduce whatever lag the hoppers might be causing. Because normally the hoppers will check an area above them for entities, like item entities, and that's a little slow. But if it has an inventory above it, like say a furnace, then it'll only check the output slot right here. It'll only check this for an item, and it doesn't have to check all around it, so it helps reduce lag. But yeah, so that is a multi-bit, 1-wide, tileable randomizer. Every bit you add doubles the number of possible outputs. So yeah. Cool. So until next time, hold on. Until next time, keep randomizing, keep redstoning.